turning back.
Welcome back to the Last Boy Scouts podcast. Danny, how are you doing?
I'm good, man.
You took a week off?
We did, yeah. We took, I think it's been 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
2 weeks
yeah.
we've had since we were able to record. It's kind of weird, like when, I think we talked about this before, your situation with the kids and like my situation with my work schedule sometimes doesn't coincide with like we have a plan to record on these certain days because it just works out better.
Yeah.
And then if anything throws a wrench in it, my work schedule, the kids being back and the kids being in school.
Right. Yeah. It's hard. It's hard. This is very much a shade tree enterprise here. As much as I love doing it, like we want it to become something like this is very grassroots, right? You know, we have this amazing studio, but those people that don't know, it's just like a green screen down here in an unfinished basement. But we get it to look cool because we're cool and we figured out how to do the technical things to make it look professional and sound professional, right?
Yeah. So. And we had every intention of working out of the bus today.
Yeah.
We had to address it from there because man, it's like it was cool because it was cloud to cloud lightning.
Yeah.
Which to me is like some of the coolest stuff because it goes cloud to cloud. And cloud to ground is like normal. But when you get cloud to cloud, that means it's got some energy.
So question, because do you work actually in the tower? No,
I work in the radar portion. So the tower is above us and then the radar portion.
So I was wondering, like, do you ever like get that kind of view, like when you're in the tower portion of that kind of
I wish. I've never worked in a tower before. I was thinking today, like, do I have the ambition to go to the tower for a little while? My work has been insane, dude. Like, kind of like what we're going to talk about today, but like a lot of like turmoil, a lot of fighting, a lot of like bickering.
Yeah.
And I don't deal well with that. I'll kind of get a little bit further into that. But yeah, I was thinking today, would I like to go to the tower because they have windows?
Yeah.
But here's the thing: during the earthquake, the towers are earthquake proof, right? So I don't know if you know what that means. But it means that they can sway a certain amount, and it's like 5 to 6 feet of sway. At the base, 5 to 6 feet, not that much.
Right.
At the top, 5 to 6 feet is like moving. And from what I understand, during the earthquake, they were swaying and they could see the cars on the ground back and forth. Yeah, a couple guys were like, a couple people were like, that was a little
scary.
And we have high winds, in Salt Lake in the valley. And so like they'll tell me like it'll be up there and you're swaying. You are swaying.
That's crazy.
And I don't know if I could go with that.
Yeah, that would be a bit intense. That would be a bit intense. What's the difference in the job? Like what is the
so we kind of talked about it before, but like if you have an upside down wedding cake, so the bottom portion would be like 5 miles. That's the airport. The movement areas, all of the taxiways, the runways, any of the airplanes or the vehicles that do on the taxiways.
Okay.
That's the tower.
Okay.
Then the next layer would be 60-mile radius, and that's approach control, which is what I do. And we bring them to, 5 miles, take them from 60 to 5 miles, put them in a line, or take them off the airport, turn them to where they're going to go.
Okay.
And then there's a bigger layer that controls it's multiple states. But it's like 20,000 to like God.
Oh wow!
And they're controlling those guys. And so I'm in the middle part. It's all I've ever done in my life. When I was in the military, I did some range control stuff, which was like dogfighters. The planes go out, chase each other, do drops, pretend like they're a real world activity.
Okay,
and that was kind of cool. But so the tower guys, but they have the best view. They have the greatest view. When you go up to the tower, dude, and you can see from Salt Lake to past Brigham City, and you can see past Provo.
Wow.
You can see past the big smokestacks going out west.
Yeah.
You can see past
Tooele.
that.
Tooele, that area.
Yeah, up in that area, Tooele, and then you can see like Parley's Canyon. You can see up in that area.
That's crazy.
They have the greatest view. It's 260 feet. Above the ground is their view, 360 degrees.
That's crazy.
It's amazing.
That's
dude.
Cool.
I just don't know, if I have that.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you don't know if you have vertigo.
Yeah.
Like vertigo is a real thing. Vertigo is like inner ear stuff, and you got to get dizzy when you're up on a tall hill. I'm not afraid of heights or anything. But there are times when I'm like, whoa.
when I imagine if you've gotten sick and you've gotten that kind of dizziness, like you're probably more susceptible to getting vertigo. So,
have you ever had vertigo?
I've definitely felt dizzy. I don't know that I've had like actual vertigo.
Yeah,
vertigo, like
vertigo's insane.
Yeah, I bet.
Vertigo is inner ear.
Yeah,
you know how when they say you lost your marbles?
Yeah,
it's actual marbles.
Oh, really?
It's crystal marbles that get discombobulated, and they're out of whack. So they go in like. I mean, think about like a sequential order.
Yeah.
They go in a sequential order. And when they are not in order and they're out of whack, you've lost your marbles. And so you can go to a doctor and he'll do these crazy things to your neck and then put your marbles back in line.
That's crazy.
Yeah. A lot of times it happens to MMA fighters. People get
punched in the head a
little bit. If you have a concussion.
Get your bell rung too much.
My mom has it. Okay. And it's debilitating. Can't get out, can't stand up. As soon as you stand up, dizzy.
Yeah.
So you have to lay there.
Yeah.
And then, have somebody take you to the doctor.
Yeah.
To get your marbles put back. And we always tease her that.
Yeah.
You remember Hook?
Yeah.
When he's looking for his marbles. We tell my mom that, she's looking for her marbles. She's looking for her marbles. Oh, he found them.
That's too funny.
Yeah, dude. So, what you been doing? What you been up to?
Man, okay. So, really getting the kids back to school. It's been weird. My oldest went back up to Utah State. She's had a little bit of a crisis of consciousness of what she wants to do. One, I'm super proud of her. Like, without a doubt, the way she set herself up, she's ahead of everybody. So, the fact that as her second year in school, she's not just taking general ed, she's like actually taking courses towards her degree.
Oh, cool.
But now she's like, okay, I have to be serious. Like, I don't want to go down one particular path and realize that like, hey, I actually don't like this. And she just found out today that there's only like a 4% retention rate of people who go through her program that actually stay in that program and do what that program trains you to do. And she's like, everybody else like leaves after 4 years.
Wow.
And she's like, I don't know, like that to me is a huge red flag.
That's heavy.
So she's going to meet with her counselor to determine like what does she want to do.
Wow.
Obviously she does, like, she feels called to be, work with special needs children. And so, I don't know what she'll end up doing, if she'll end up going the ed route, like becoming a teacher and then just doing a specialization with special ed. But I think as far as her moving off of the speech pathology that she wanted to do,
she should talk to Grant's wife.
Yeah.
She just got hired at Park City High School for the special education. And Big Dan, Blue Belt Dan.
Yeah. He's
over that program.
Oh, really?
Yeah. 2 people in our community that could maybe give her some advice of like what to do.
Right. Those are definitely people we should reach out to.
Then she could get like a wide brand of.
That's what I'm saying. Like, cause she's like doing stuff and she's like, well, maybe I consider like social work. And like, she's like, I could be like an in school, like the psychologist for in school. I'm like, like now's the time to kind of figure it out. You have a little bit of time, right? You're ahead. So
yeah, I talked to her over just when she was home for the break, and I was like surprised. You always are surprised when you see the kids that you've known for a moment, and you're like, oh, that kid's matured a tiny bit. Like she's like matured. When she was talking to me, a lot of times like kids, especially, like they'll have a conversation with you, but they won't create eye contact. They'll kind of like talk to you in passing. Yeah. And she was like engaging with conversation with me, and I was like, oh, look at Bryn growing up. I was stoked for her.
Yeah. So other than that, like just, they opened a new office down in Lehigh. So I've been traveling down there a little bit. We did take the kids for a little camping trip, but we did just pull the rooftop tent off the Bronco.
You did?
And getting ready for wintertime.
Yeah. Where did you guys go? Lava?
We went up to Lava. We went up to Bear Lake up in northern Utah.
Oh, cool.
And then
it's a great area.
Lava. Like, it's great. Like, great long weekend.
Yeah. Lava's awesome. Float the river?
Yeah. We floated the river. A little tight with all 3 of us in the rooftop tent. But we did it. We did it.
Ben and Cozy slept up top with you.
With me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ben's getting tall, so it's
it wasn't terrible, but like definitely the second night I was like, I can't do this again.
There's not enough room for all of us.
Not enough room. So I don't know if we'll do the rooftop tent again next year, or if we'll let it go and then, find another option. But the kids loved it. The interesting thing about camping spots that I've noticed is that you have to be like there's a ton of camping in Utah, right? You can reserve some, but more often than not, it's first come, first serve.
Okay.
And we were totally planning on, there's like 40 spots up in Logan. We were planning on snagging one. We got up there into Logan Canyon and we're like, we got to the campground and like the last camp spot was being, signed up for, taken. And it was like noon. It was like noon on a Friday. And I'm like, we were so close. So we ended up at, we've had good luck with like RV sites that have a couple of campsites, and which is fine because, right, like
bathrooms in.
Right. We travel a lot like an RV when you're in the rooftop tent,
yeah,
right?
For
Like,
sure.
We can pop up the tent real quick, shut it real quick, and then you also have the benefit of like a nice shower and
picnic tables.
You
don't have to like you don't have to like fully dirt bag it on an RV. I like that too. Like me personally, like I'll dirt bag it as much as I need to, but for the most part, when I'm done dirt bagging, I go to an RV spot and I'll get an RV spot for sure. Yeah. It's a little bit more easier. Same thing when we sleep in the Jeep. We tend to like gravitate towards the RV spots because they're a little bit nicer.
Yeah.
Pay a little bit more money, but it's kind of like whatever.
Yeah.
Cheaper than a hotel.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely cheaper than a hotel.
Yeah.
And like the good ones, you like meet good people there too.
Yeah, for sure.
We were watching CJI that weekend.
Oh yeah.
Craig Jones.
Forgot that was man, that happened.
Yeah, we should talk about that in a sec because I do have some questions for you. But what did you end up doing? What have you been up to?
We man, I've been working. Came home from let's see, I mean, like after the last podcast, kind of went on a big long working trip of trying to like recover from Montana. And then like for me, I don't have the same things. I kind of get bummed out every once in a while when I hear the kids like starting back to school and like everybody's getting back into their grooves and I'm just stuck in my, my mid-life, but I don't have young kids.
Yeah.
My boys are all older. And so I had a pretty rough week. I mean, work has been tumultuous. Like there's been a lot of bullshit going on at my work with like in-house fighting. And I kind of like got a little sucked into it, but not on purpose and not for any other, not that I was searching it out. Right.
Yeah. And
I tend to not deal with conflict very well.
Right.
A lot of times. I get better. I'm trying to do better. But I'll run to the firefight. Yeah. And I will go guns blazing if I'm not careful.
I'm a lot like that. I think the way you handle conflict is we learn that from a very young age by watching our parents and how we interact with our parents. And I think that's one of the biggest habits habits. I don't know if habits is the right word or if like, that is like probably one of the most, I guess just pattern. Like it's the hardest pattern to break because I'm the same way. And here I am like, nobody wants spiritual guidance from somebody who's toxic, but there are definitely times when I'm like, geez, Tyler, that what you just said was toxic as fuck in an old pattern.
Well, and like for me, man, like if I feel jaded, if I feel like you've done something to me, or to somebody that I care about, I have no filter. Yeah. And I have, attacked maybe the wrong way, maybe the wrong person. Right. And if I almost did that at work. I almost was like, okay, I'm in the fight. Right. I don't care about the consequences. And a couple guys at work had to remind me like, hey, Danny, don't forget you have almost 25 years of government service. Like, don't throw this away for an instant gratification of tuning somebody up. And, like that happens and it is what it is, man. Like I'm kind of mellowed out from that. So last week, man, it was crazy. Misty, it was Thursday and I was like, God, I just had finished up with this thing. And Misty's like, let's get out of town. And so we thought about Colorado. We thought about, where could we go? What could we do? And we both were like, let's go to Vegas. Yeah. Thursday, got done with kids' classes. I picked her up about 7:00. We headed to Vegas. We got to Vegas about 1:00 in the morning and had the time of our lives. That's awesome. It was so fun, man. Like, and her and I, we do Vegas probably different than every single other person because we sit by the pool for 8 to 9 hours, and then we're usually in bed by like 8:00, 8:30, so we can do it the next day. Do it all over again. And Yeah, it was fun. We had such a good time. She got in a float. She got a floaty. She was floating around the pool. I ended up
the same. You guys go to the same resort.
We go to the same resort. We go to South Point. We love the South Point. I ended up playing football with these three kids. Man, they had such really, really, really like cool personalities, and I could tell this one kid was like, he had a really cool personality, but he was kind of a shithead.
Yeah,
and he was being a kind of a shithead, and yeah, I ended up like getting a little irritated with him and being like, he's not my kid, Danny, or like I don't have a relationship with him to like to correct him for what he was doing. And then I was like, all right, time to go. Missy's like, hey, time to go. You know, he was like 14, 15-year-old kid, and I was just like, I'm gonna drown this kid, you know, because he was kind of being a shithead. But we had a good time, man. And then we came back here and man, right to open mat yesterday, which was Labor Day.
Yeah.
And dude, yesterday's open mat was on point.
Oh, it was. I think the energy from there's been a lot of jiu-jitsu the last couple of weekends, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah, after CJI, man. The training after CJI was on fire. Yeah. And there were, I mean, everybody was like came to party. Yeah. And so yeah, I mean, like I think like recovering the correct way. Like I like to go and do things, and if Misty and I can agree on them, then they're fun, you know? Yeah. I like I said, I miss that my boys aren't in school and that I'm not like in that like stressful time of like, oh, because then wrestling would be starting, then like everything would be going and it'd be like, oh, I have this like plan for the next 6 months of what I need to do for my boys. Yeah. Where now it's like me and Misty are like, shit, we're kind of by the seat of our pants sometimes, which is a new world for us. Yeah, it's a super new world, and like what we have planned is scary. You know, we both plan to you know, move into an RV in the next 6 to 8 months and see how that goes. Maybe, you know, travel different places, different areas, and live out of an RV. We're not sure if we're going to sell our house or rent our house. So if anybody in the comments gives me some ideas, I don't know. I had interesting conversations with a lot of people, and both of them had good points. I just don't know what's good for Misty and I, you know? Yeah. Yeah. So it's kind of like nerve-wracking. That is nerve-wracking, but we're both excited to see how it goes. So yeah, let's talk about CJI. So you know, obviously CJI happens the same. And for those of you who don't know, it's Craig Jones Invitational, competitive jiu-jitsu tournament. Happens the same weekend as ADCC, which is by far, I mean, that's the Olympics of it's been the gold standard for consider the Olympics of the jiu-jitsu. Yeah, because they're only every 2 years. Yeah, been the gold standard of jiu-jitsu. The Abu Dhabi Combat Club, obviously some falling out with paying their fighters, right? Sure. Some fantastic matches. All in all, like it took me a little longer to get to the ADCC because I didn't really want to pay for flow grappling and it was hard. Like, yeah, man, like, so ADCC is great, but I've heard if you're in person, it's really hard to watch it because there's 3 matches and you're looking at this match and all of a sudden you hear this roar of the crowd and you're like, shit, what just happened? Same thing happens on Flow. Yeah. You're watching a match and it has, you know, they have it kind of good. Yeah. But you're watching a match and all of a sudden you hear a roar and you're like, fuck, what just happened? So you have to go and search what happened. That other match. Yeah. That was the nice thing about CJI. That was beautiful. It was just one. I loved the
match. That was amazing. Like working off the walls or the ramps or whatever, kind of similar to, what is that? The one or the,
well, it's kind of like off the Karate Combat Club.
Karate Combat Club.
Yeah. Karate Combat. Karate Combat has the 45-degree angles on the wall, so you can't run off the mat, which ADCC has, and you can't use it as a cage, which is vertical. Yeah. So you can use the cage as an extension. You know, when we're at the academy and you have them wall mats, you can use that wall mat as one to protect yourself, and two, it's really a good base. Yeah. Like if you can attach yourself to that wall and you know how to use that wall, it's amazing. Yeah. But that angle, that was not the way that was.
It's completely different.
It was awesome.
It did cause like a bunch of good
matches.
Yeah. Good I think the thing that's most interesting to me is like, obviously I didn't know a lot of these names. Everybody knows Gordon Ryan. Right. You know, I mean, I knew Gordon Ryan. I wasn't super familiar with who Craig Jones was. Oh. until Craig Jones, the Invitational.
Yeah.
And as obviously there's a little bit of bad blood there because Craig Jones and he was part of
the B team split from the Danaher Death Squad.
Yeah. And so there's a little bit of bad blood there, but like what I find interesting is like I started just recently within the last week, I started following on Instagram because I hadn't previously, Craig Jones and then Gordon Ryan. And what I find funny about Gordon Ryan's posts is I almost have to unfollow him.
Yeah.
Because 99% of his posts are some chick in a bikini.
Yeah.
And not that I'm opposed to seeing a chick in a bikini, but it's like he's posting thirst traps about one of his companies and it's like very little jiu-jitsu content.
Sure. Gordon Ryan is by far he is a big reason why no-gi jiu-jitsu is where it's at.
Absolutely.
But and I don't know. I mean, I'm not. I know like he's very blatant that he uses steroids, and I know that like Gordon Ryan pre-steroids and Gordon Ryan after steroids, there is a huge difference.
Huge difference.
And guys on his team before steroids and then after steroids, there is a huge difference.
Yeah.
So part of it is those guys like like Craig Jones, like. Maybe he uses steroids, but not the same steroids that Gordon Ryan uses.
Yeah.
And Craig Jones didn't really he was a big name until he was a purple belt, and then he was a purple belt, and then all of a sudden it was like, who is this dude that is like?
Yeah.
I mean, but body style matters, right? Body, the way your body looks. Craig Jones has really long arms, really long legs, and he's limber.
Yeah.
But he does some shit that you're like, this guy is like a genius when it comes to jiu-jitsu IQ.
Yeah.
Same thing with Gordon Ryan. But they have, they have the ability to train 16 hours a day,
right, and
take 8 hours off, right? They could train 16 hours a day if they want. Every one of them train 365 days.
So I guess they've monetized themselves completely differently from what I can tell.
For sure.
From what I can tell, right? Like,
and Craig Jones is able to use Gordon Ryan as the heel.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, he absolutely is.
And the fact that Gordon Ryan's brother went with Craig Jones, there's definitely something happened that you're like, oh, there's probably a pretty good story to this.
Yeah.
And they always allude to it, but they never give the details. But every one of them go, oh, if I told you the real details, it's worse than you think.
It's interesting because I caught a little bit of Craig on Joe Rogan. It was just a few minutes, and he's talking about Danaher. Am I pronouncing that right? He's got an interesting story, right? He's obviously he's a genius coach.
Oh yeah,
but he was a philosophy professor, right? And then he decides to just sell it all out and like become this prolific jiu-jitsu coach.
And he's a Renzo Gracie black belt.
Yes,
I've heard from multiple people that there are in that basement area that it's called the basement, I think it's the blue basement. I'm probably wrong, but Renzo Gracie in New York, the basement area. If you're invited to train down there and you go down there, there are guys that make that whole Danaher Death Squad look like garbage.
Really?
That the guys that in there, the black belts and the brown belts and the purple belts in there are like insanely good.
Wow.
And they're all Renzo Gracie guys, which Danaher's a Renzo Gracie.
Renzo. So I got the impression from this Craig Jones interview, and this is obviously purely speculation, but it's, this philosophy teacher basically gains a following, and I'm like, it's very cult-like. I mean, jiu-jitsu is already kind of borderline culty.
I agree.
But then you get a personality, like a dynamic personality. And I wouldn't say he's that dynamic because you see him in interviews and he's like very dry, very point. But then obviously probably to his community, those people he actually lets in, I'm sure he becomes more of a deity in a way.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, yeah. If you ever like heard him, how he talks and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like, whoa.
Yeah.
This guy's got a different outlook on life, right? And he's not a big personality, but those guys around him are big personalities, And so one of the cool things about ADCC is that you can have a breakout performance at ADCC and all of a sudden your life changes.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to be able to keep that. If, like, it was good. It was cool.
Right.
I know people that were at both and they said, yeah, ADCC was cool, but like last ADCC was like phenomenal. The venue was smaller. It felt a little bit more intimate, and you had all the people, the big names there, right?
Yeah.
There were some really cool performances. Man, shout out Wagner Hocha. That dude is my age, and he competed at the ADCC with young, up-and-coming Lions, and he did not back down. It inspired me.
Yeah.
I was like, I got to figure out a way to compete at a healthy way like this guy does. But a lot of it is like I said, he's able to 16 hours a day and dedicate to his body and to his craft. There probably maybe some, I'm not opposed to doing testosterone or anything like that at some point in my life.
Yeah.
But CJI had the draw, it had the flair, it had the one single mat, it had everything that you could imagine that you want out of a jiu-jitsu tournament. Plus it had storylines, and it had lead up, and it had just guys trying to kill each other. Yeah. And then I'm thinking, well, I'm never going to be that guy. Like, I'm never going to be in the CJ. I mean, that maybe like if I was younger, I mean, I personally, Tripp is a good competitor, but I don't know if I would encourage him to do that shit. Those dudes were willing to their entire body sacrifice everything. Yeah. Which is cool as a fan, right? But it's like, I have no idea what those guys are doing. Right. I mean, they're probably all so injured right now. Right. They're not going to fight for a couple of months. Yeah. 6-7 months. Most of them are not going to fight for a while. Yeah. Because of what they did to their bodies. And so that is cool. Plus, like, I'm not a no-gi guy. I'm a gi guy. Yeah. So I'd like to see. They just had IBJJF World Masters just this last weekend, and it was cool. They had cool storylines. A bunch of guys that I knew were fighting there, and my goal is to compete there next year. Oh, cool. Mighty Mouse Demetrius Johnson is a UFC competitor, and I like him a lot. He's my size. But he just got a black belt, and he had his black belt debut, and he was fighting. He even said, he goes, I'm a novice, and I'm fighting these black belts that have been training since they were 8 years old. Yeah. And he had just gotten his black belt, but when you go to Masters World, you could fight as a black belt. You could fight a guy that's been black belt for 20 years. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So I think that's intriguing to me. Yeah. I mean, whatever, man. Like, maybe you win one match, maybe you win 0 matches, but your first match is like megaton. Yeah. And you're like, you become the man in the arena. Right? Yeah. You're like, holy shit, this is amazing. You're just competing. So it's cool to me, like, to think about that with competition. Yeah. I'd like to hear your, any other of your, ideas or your perspective of CJI. I watched CJI. I got my kids to watch CJI because we were camping, and it was easier to watch. Sure. There was some really frustrating things with how it was streamed on Google. Google inserting their own ads in pivotal points during the matches. That was kind of frustrating. But wait, I'm sorry, that you didn't watch it on YouTube. Sorry, Google is YouTube. Sorry, YouTube and Google, this is the same thing. Oh, we didn't have any ads. You didn't have any ads? None. Oh, I watched it on the B Team channel, so maybe I just watched it wrong. Same. We watched it on YouTube, on our TV, on. Oh well, I don't. Maybe you have the premium YouTube. Oh, maybe you have premium YouTube. I bet Tristan bought. I bet Tristan encouraged me to pay. Yeah. We had none and 0. That's crazy. Yeah, I could. That would piss me off. At the end of the day, there was a bunch of matches I missed on day one that I had to go back and rewatch. The Rotolo brothers, who I'm actually kind of big fans of, but I think they're in a really interesting position because they're a third party, and they're not the Danaher Death Squad. They're not B Team. They're like their own entity. Yeah. They're kind of the wild cards. They got a real, watching that match between Cade and Levi. Yeah. At the end, and since it's now, we're gonna have some spoilers here. So if you haven't watched, like, feel free to pause and come back. But like, I feel like the crowd kind of buckled. For sure, the crowd kind of buckled. Not that and rightly so. Like, watching Levi
as much as I love Australians, watching Levi just defend did not make for interesting TV.
Well, and then so for me, like the way Levi was fighting was as a jiu-jitsu guy.
Oh,
right. And Cade was fighting kind of like recklessly.
Yeah.
As also as what you want to see jiu-jitsu grow into.
Right.
So it was a contrast of styles like so bad.
Absolutely. I could see how as like obviously a hardcore jiu-jitsu practitioner, right? Like you want to see the highest level. You want to see engagement.
Yeah.
As somebody who's wanting entertainment, you know, we're comparing all of this to UFC.
For
where
sure.
there's UFC, there's constantly action. You know, people are booing if there's not a knockout, if there's not haymakers. You know, they don't understand the tactics and style. So I could see where Levi won that match because his jiu-jitsu was more.
It was more jiu-jitsu
technical.
Sure.
And I think Cade was very frustrated and he was just throwing everything at him to just try to make it entertaining. And
because on one side, Levi never tried to pass Cade's guard.
Right.
Cade did, but never could pass Levi's guard.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a huge Rutolo fan.
Mm-hmm.
So part of that is that the Rutolos come from Atos and they are a very big gi school. They've probably just barely got into. I think Andre Gaval is the main guy. I think he won ADCC a bunch of times. He had some big accolades. So they're one of those schools that can blend gi and no gi together with their competitors. So I think that's kind of cool. That to me was like where you are going to gain followers, but lose like jiu-jitsu, you know, high-end jiu-jitsu guys of like, well, why, you know, how did Levi lose?
Right.
That's what I wondered is like, okay, tell me how Levi lost. How did he lost? How did he lose? Because he didn't, I mean, he in the rules did everything that he was supposed to do.
Right.
In the rules.
Right.
In the rules. So you have to change the rules, right?
Yep.
Or, I mean, Cade technically could not pass his guard.
Right.
I mean, he was throwing everything at him and Levi was stuffing him.
Right.
Cade definitely was not going to put his leg in Levi's guard.
Right.
I'm not a leg locker. You know,
right.
I very small dabbling in leg lock game. I'm leg lock defense.
Yeah.
You know, if you grab my leg, I'm defending. But I'm not grabbing your leg. I mean, I don't think about it like that.
Yeah.
I defend my legs. So Cade was not going to put his ankle, his leg, his knee anywhere near Levi's guard because he would get it ripped off. Yeah. You know, and so that was kind of crazy to me also. What was your, going into it, what was your thoughts on Craig and Gabby going into it? Because I know, because you had this conversation before, going into it.
Yeah, because we had the conversation around like, what if a high level, like two high level belts equally weighted and matched, like competed together. I want to tread lightly because I don't want to offend anyone, but
on paper, Gabby is
a man
10 times. Not on paper, but on paper, Gabby is 10 times, 15 times the jiu-jitsu player that Craig is.
You wouldn't have guessed. You couldn't have guessed.
No.
Like her fumbling with that heel hook, that inside heel hook, it didn't seem like she knew what she was doing to lock it up. Like, and I'm like, I'm just a lowly blue belt. Like I could tell that she was like fumbling around with it, didn't really know how to secure it. When she like, it would be like me trying to put a leg lock on Craig, and Craig was so effortless in his movement. Like I think at the end of the day, it was a fun match to watch because the spirit in which they were putting it on, like was really beautiful. Like Gabby giving up her Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that was crazy.
You know, in an effort for these athletes to get paid.
For sure.
Right? Like I think it's cool to encourage athletes to become the best. And the only way to do that is if they can make a living doing it.
For sure. I agree.
And we have the same problem in lacrosse, right? Like we have several different high levels of lacrosse, but you know, the pro level lacrosse does not make the same as the pro level NFL player.
Yeah, I agree.
And a lot of that has to do with the appeal and the eyes and advertisers and things like that, because that's how it gets paid. But
I agree.
you have to start figuring out how to pay them. And I think for all the foibles of CJI, getting them paid was beneficial. They have room for improvement, but it's definitely put ADCC on notice. They have 10 times the sponsors, 10 times the dollars.
Put it to where the money should go.
Right.
Which is the entertainment, which is the athletes.
Right.
You could go to a high school gym and put on ADCC.
Yeah.
That's all I care about.
Yeah.
Sure, you're not going to get the same kind of fans, but at the end of the day, I think they had like some sort of double-digit million views.
Yeah.
For CJI, maybe even more than double-digit, maybe triple-digit million views for CJI.
Yeah.
As opposed to the butts in the seats, which you're going to get that you want the views, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you this: what I think is high level jiu-jitsu. High level jiu-jitsu is high level jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
High level jiu-jitsu IQ is high level jiu-jitsu IQ. If you put a high level jiu-jitsu black belt woman against a high level jiu-jitsu black belt man, just the way the bodies are, the way things are, just may not work out.
Right.
But I train with purple belt, brown belt women who I have to be so careful with.
Absolutely.
Because at any time they will catch you. They have technique. They have, I'm dealing with a wrist injury because I got put into a wrist lock that I was not prepared for. Wrist lock. And the woman, she meant business. She's super injured right now.
Yeah.
Super injured right now. And she put a wrist lock on me that I had to scream.
Yeah.
Ah, ooh. And it caught me off guard. It hurt. And it still hurts to this day.
Yeah.
It hurts. So if you are, women who buy into jiu-jitsu, who have the technique, who do the things, who go to class, who train to win, to train to kill. Shout out Anne. She comes and trains with us.
Mm-hmm.
She was at World's Masters. She's a bronze,
Yeah.
All of those women that come and train with us, like they hold their own for the most part, and I appreciate that. At some point though, like things just, things start to eat, the weight starts to go in one direction, and that's obvious, right? Does it mean that we can't have fun and that we shouldn't still be careful? No.
Oh yeah.
And that was cool to me with Gabby and Craig.
Yeah.
Was that it was awesome.
Right. And they could make a spectacle out of it. It didn't, the money went to charity.
It didn't take away.
It didn't. No.
And it added.
Oh, if anything, I was like so stoked to watch CGA because Craig did a really good job marketing it.
Yeah.
The OnlyFans collabs, the like kissing her at
that shit was so funny
at weigh-ins, and just like her disgust. You've gone too far. Everything he did, you've gone too far, Chris. You've gone too far.
Yeah. That's it. I'm not doing this again.
Yeah.
It's like, and he's over there like just like a little kid, like, oh, I got it.
Yes. Yes.
teasing his sister.
Yeah.
Or his best friend. And man, at the end of the, when they gave her Gabby the mic to talk, because I've watched Gabby a bunch, in IBJJF stuff and in MMA and in the ADCC stuff. And yes, there are things that people like tease her about. She always has a good outlook and a good forthcoming about things. Yes, there are people, there are trolls that are going to say shitty things about her.
Yeah.
To me, I think, she is, she's a very big woman who would kick the absolute shit out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And whatever she decided to do, she could have her way with me, and so I was stoked on that. The whole CJI I thought was just a little bit better, but I think the excitement was better. So next year it'll be interesting to see, like, do they do CJI again? Because they're going to do a women's bracket, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
They'll have super fights. And I know Craig and Nikki Rod are trying to get Gordon to come and fight them there. Will he do that? The lead up to that will be kind of fun. And so I think overall jiu-jitsu gained followers.
Yeah.
It gained perspective from from its practitioners. Us hobbyists, which I would consider hobbyists, we don't compete a lot. Did it change our life? Did it change our world? I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know if it did or not. Competitors that, you know, are out there, did it change their world? I mean, I kind of showed you what you need to do.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of showed you where if you're willing to sacrifice your entire body for the rest of your life,
set the bar.
Set that's what it's going to require. It's going to require a lot of sacrifice. And Tripp and I talked about that a lot because he is a competitor. He's a high level competitor in certain aspects. You know, he's 20 years old at a purple belt. He's not done jiu-jitsu the length of like most people, but he wrestled his entire life. He has been on the mat since he's 4 years old.
Yeah.
He doesn't know a single thing. I tell people all the time, he literally plays with me.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yesterday
he played. He doesn't give a shit.
The whole time. This whole time I'm defending the violin. All of a sudden, throws a triangle up, and I'm like, I wasn't even. The triangle wasn't even in the realm of the problem I was trying to solve.
Will, did you watch him and Will?
Yeah, no.
Grabbed the knife.
Oh yeah,
and started stabbing Will. And Will freaked out. Grabbed the knife back from Tripp.
Yeah,
starts stabbing Tripp. Tripp chokes him. And he was like, Will was like, what the fuck? And he's like, Will had the tap with a knife in his hand. I'm thinking, just act like you're stabbing him. He goes, I did, but he choked me and I had the tap. And we were laughing. And I was thinking, this is a 20-year-old kid that comes in, hangs out with these men.
Yeah.
And that's like, he is so high level for thank God, Mike, Nick, Anthony, Cookie, Keith.
Yeah.
Thank God our black belts keep him humble.
Yeah.
Because he's not arrogant.
No.
He's confident.
Yes.
Because he'll train with, I mean, he was training with the white belts and they were having just as much fun as anybody else.
Yeah.
Right? Because he doesn't make you feel like you're not his friend.
Yeah. So
you don't want to lose that.
No.
Right.
No.
And so we appreciate that with him, but he's 20 years old, a purple belt, and he hasn't even, he's still on his trajectory up.
Yeah.
Who knows what his bar is, but I always tell him, like, I don't want his knees jacked up.
Yeah.
I don't want his ankles messed up. I don't want him.
Let's cripple gargoyle knuckles that a lot of those high level players have.
Yeah, I don't want that. So then you're like, okay, well, what does jiu-jitsu look like for him?
Yeah.
What does it look like for him? You know, because is he a high level competitor? No, because he has to work. He has to work. He's still kind of a hobbyist, right? With a high IQ, and he's been on the mat since 4 years old.
Yeah.
But man, when him and Will, I wish I could have recorded that because it was so funny that Will, you know, like I said, had the knife in his hand and was tapping. And I was like, come on, dude. What are you doing? Stab him.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so funny. And then there was a time when Will is standing and Tripp arm drags him to his back, jumps on his back, and he's on Will's back like a little kid. And Will's trying to shake him off. And I was thinking, you know, in the real world, Will would just jump backwards and hurt Tristan. But it was so funny to watch. And you don't want to lose that.
No. Right.
And so I think like we have the best of both worlds in our academy. We have lots of high level guys. We have young up and coming guys who keep it fun. Right. I was thinking you did get a promotion while we were on break, correct?
Yeah, I got a stripe.
We have not talked about that yet.
I did get a stripe.
Was it expected?
No.
What?
No.
Yeah.
No, we just you know, you never know, right? I thought, you know, I'm due probably class wise, right? Like there's a correlation between the hours you put in and right, like the paper, right? The paper of when you should be promoted, right? But I learned long ago, like not to really not care about that because it's more about like, are you speaking jiu-jitsu on the mat?
Sure.
And so, yeah, I was not prepared for it.
And
I know we got
same time, right?
Yeah. And I know we've got a ceremony coming up. So I'm like, maybe at the ceremony, but like, no, Nick surprised us completely.
When you're surprised by Nick, how awesome does that feel?
It always feels the best.
It's the best.
Right. And that's when you like, it feels foolish, but you probably saw my post. I'm like, this guy's celebrating one stripe. And I'm like, hell yeah, I'm celebrating one stripe. Like it was not
Nick.
Yeah. It wasn't easily earned. Right. there was a lot of sweat and pain and wrist locks and beat up.
And Ray is your battle buddy.
Yeah,
you guys tested together.
We tested together,
and you guys are on the same trajectory together. And Ray is, he's coming into his own.
That
dude is a nightmare.
Ray and I definitely will go to war with each other. Like, obviously he brings that cop energy, which is great. And also not great at times, right? Sometimes you just want an easy roll, but you're never guaranteed that. Like, sure. And sometimes more often than not, he gets me. He's got that little bit more, and he's a little bit more intense. Just maybe that's that cop mentality that.
Yeah. He also, like, you're an experimenter.
Yeah.
You experiment in jiu-jitsu. You have the ability to experiment. So, like,
yeah.
One cool thing about Tyler is somebody will show a move and Tyler will try that move, until the umpteenth time. And he'll catch you with it sometimes, which is like how you should do jiu-jitsu, in my opinion.
Yeah.
There's also those guys that they have their game and they live in that world.
Yeah.
If the technique fits that world,
yes,
then they adjust it.
Yeah.
You will double check the technique multiple times, and maybe it doesn't work, maybe it doesn't, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but you always like continue.
Yeah.
Right. And so Ray is one of those, this is my world.
Yeah.
And this is where I live.
Yeah.
So as you're an experimenter, he's kind of like figured out some of his, my beer kind of like,
that's right.
That out. My beer, or sorry, my
feed the snake, feed the snake.
My beers. Sorry, my beer in the middle. My beer started foaming over for those guys that aren't watching the YouTube. But Ray lives; he knows where he lives.
Yeah,
and so as you're experimenting, he'll catch you where you live.
Yeah,
where you're like experimenting. Oh shit, he caught me.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I think it's good because you guys both have different games, which is the craziest thing to me about jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
We're all taught by the same instructors.
Yeah.
We all teach the same techniques. We all do the same techniques. And you find out where you live. I find out where I live. And then there is absolutely nothing that's going to change your mindset, except for you'll always be an experimenter.
Yes.
And eventually you'll find out where you're like, oh, I know these spots. There's things that I'm like, I will not let you grab certain limbs.
Yeah.
That I'm like, nope. Because I know that you live in that world and maybe I don't. And I know, don't do that because you also have attacks off of those.
Yeah.
With Ray, I also know, do not let him get that position because you're never getting out of it.
You're never getting it back.
You're never getting out of it.
Yeah.
And so it's cool because it's the most exciting thing to me about jiu-jitsu is that you get to have this game and this world that you can develop into your own world.
Yes.
And because you need people, you need me, you can like develop that world around another human that maybe it works.
Yeah.
And then you have white belts, right? There's Mitch and Grant was on fire yesterday.
Yeah.
Dude,
he caught me yesterday. He caught me and got me in a Kimura.
That dude was doing this funny thing that I showed him. I call it the cop.
Yeah.
But I grab your arm and put it behind your back.
Yep. That's exactly what he caught me in.
And you're like, you're stuck like a cop.
Yep.
He did it to me. And I was like, you little shit.
Yeah.
So I had to I had to really, really, really think about it of like, okay, don't get turned.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, I kind of want him to put me on my back so I could triangle him because his arm is down.
Yeah.
So now he's technically one arm out, right? And I was like, okay, I want him to like sweep me so I could throw a triangle on him. And when I did, he was like, he looked at me and he was like, wow, nobody does that. And he was like, wow, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Because he had been beating people up with it.
Yeah.
And what a crazy world that we live in where we're able to witness, we're able to watch high level guys and go in there and do it ourselves.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you're able to do it yourself. You're able to go in there and like watch CJI, watch ADCC, watch IBJJF stuff, watch high level jiu-jitsu. And since you practice it, you speak it a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Right. And you're like, there is no end game.
There is no end
You know,
game.
like we're not going to ever be, because we're not racing to a black belt. Like you said, you're not racing to promotions.
Yeah.
You're like, if I get promoted, cool. If I don't, okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
I'm not racing, because what happens when you get a black belt? Are you going to quit?
No.
No, the whole thing starts all over.
Right.
With that being said, like that's why, to me, if you haven't tried jiu-jitsu, it's so hard.
Yeah.
It's what's hard about it, because like you walk into this room where there are these guys who do it, and you're just starting.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I want to know what they know today.
Yes.
You know,
You want to be able to play at that level and have it be a fun game. There are players that we play with that I know that I am probably not that fun to roll with. You know what I mean? Like if you know, and I'm aware of it. Like I do my best, but I don't know enough. I don't speak the language enough to like even for it to even be fun for some of those people.
and I disagree with you 100%.
I mean, maybe you're right.
Because I think it's more of like your insecurities with your own game.
Yeah.
I think the same thing like with me and Will.
Yeah.
Will's 6'3".
Yes.
I'm 5'5" on a good day. No way. He weighs probably 200 and something pounds.
Yeah,
I weigh 140 pounds.
Yeah.
In all aspects of this world, we should never be able to communicate on the jiu-jitsu match.
Right.
And there's times when I'm like, he could maul me.
Right.
And he says, I have no idea what to do with you.
Yeah.
No, your arms are small.
Yeah.
Your legs are small.
Yeah.
Your body's small. I'm nothing. And I'm like, I think it's just the fact that we like have insecurities with that. But I think like I've watched you train with most everybody and you speak enough jiu-jitsu to have fun. Right. I just think that you're worried sometimes about like pissing off the wrong animal.
Yes.
Right?
We've done that, right? We've done that. We've made that mistake. You make these mistakes
all the time.
You don't want to do it, but yeah, you make these mistakes and you know, it happens.
Some of that insecurity is from like how you perceive things.
Yes. Yeah.
Is how like just in general in life, right? In general in life, like how you see it, how I see it, sometimes doesn't mesh together. Right. But if we can find like a common path or a common walking path, we can still get to the same destination that we're looking for. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Because in my opinion, when I watch some of you guys train, I see like so much of other instructors and that you've gone to that instructor's class like a ton. Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah. Like we were talking about with Nick. I've only gotten maybe 1 or 2 stripes from Nick. Mm-hmm. And each time I've always been like, dude, if Nick gives you a stripe, holy shit. Yeah. If he gives you a stripe, like, man, that means that he's seen something or you've done something that he's stoked on. Yeah. Right. And then when Professor gives you a stripe, it always means like more. Yeah. I've only seen Anthony give a couple stripes. And I've always been like, to get a stripe from Anthony would be like, dude, you've accomplished something. Right.
I can only imagine. I can only imagine. Yeah, that would be to
me, that's a goal for mine. Oh. Like I want to get a stripe from Anthony. Like, I want to, because I mean, I'm not big on promotions either, but there are people that I'm like,
well, they mean something, man. Like you have to turn them into something in your journey, right? Like, and this is why we hate the internet trolls, the jiu-jitsu internet trolls, right? Like, they'll make fun of you for being excited about one stripe as a white belt, right? Like, there's all these memes about like, right? Like, and we've been there, but like, that shit keeps you in it. It keeps you going. It keeps you motivated. It shows that you're progressing, right? And it's not karate where you're getting a new belt every 6 weeks just because of
a movement,
right? Or you've got the right haya with your karate chop, you know? Like, I mean, yes, there is a correlation between the hours you put on the mat and what your professors see you doing on the mat, but it doesn't always equate. Right. It doesn't always equate. Like, there's a standard, but then the standard is open to interpretation.
I agree.
Right?
Man, that's a very Oh, that's such an, you could go really deep into that too.
Yeah, I think absolutely. Right. Like courses have a syllabus and everything is open for interpretation on how you accomplish that or how you actually get there. Maybe you don't like, I didn't think I was worthy of my first stripe when Nick gave me my first white belt stripe too.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yes.
2 stripes for Nick. Lucky.
Well, it's been a significant period of time, right? Like, I've tried to go to Nick's class.
And you are a regular attender of Nick's classes.
Yes.
For sure. I would agree with that.
And he's been instrumental in my journey, right? Like, his encouragement, he's very much like an older brother.
For sure.
I don't know where age-wise, where we're at.
Way young.
Is he?
Yeah.
He's younger than me?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So like he feels like he's got that older brother energy, like, and it's cool to have that in the gym. And like, he just has to be himself. He just, he comes in and he dominates the mat. Like
he looks effortless.
Yeah.
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 It's funny because, so there's a podcast with Jeff Curran that just came out. I'll share it with you.
Yeah.
I was listening to this week and they were kind of talking about how like Pedro Sauer's, I don't know how they said it, but they were saying how like it takes a little bit longer in a Pedro Sauer Academy to be promoted and to get promotions and to get to your black belt. It takes a little bit longer than most academies, which is not bad in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I've always thought to myself, like I've trained with other professors. Gustavo was who I started with, but then he pointed me towards Mike, and I've been with Mike my entire time.
Yeah.
And Jeff said the same thing about Pedro. Like he was with Pedro. He was with other people, but when he got with Pedro, like he was like, I'm a Pedro.
Yeah.
We have people in our academy who have been from other academies, and I think you've gotten some other people, but I'm a Mike Diaz.
Oh yeah.
When I get my black belt, if and when Mike promotes me, I'm a Mike Diaz black belt.
Yes.
My entire journey from white belt to black belt will have been with Mike Diaz.
Yeah.
And I think about that, like when I think about the people that have gotten the black belts, because my goal would be into the top 5, top 10 of his black belts.
Mm-hmm.
And he was telling us a story the other day about like how you have to have a certain amount of stripes to be able to promote a black belt. And me and Trip were like, whoa, that makes sense. Like that makes sense. He had to put, he believes that. He lives that jiu-jitsu lifestyle fully.
Yeah.
And so, I've only been with Mike for my journey, and so I think about that with you, and I think about that with everybody, like the guys that have started with Mike, and I think like all the seminars that we attend and all the Pedro stuff that we attend, like we are the front runners of this journey and of this lifestyle that we're promoting, that we're like, hey, this really does change your life.
Yeah.
We still struggle.
Yeah.
I still have moments where I'm not stoked on myself and stoked on my, where I'm at. I'm not accomplishing the things that I want to accomplish, but the consistency that's always is there is jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
It's always there.
Yeah. And oftentimes that's all it takes is that consistency. That consistency of showing up.
Yeah. Which if you think about that in like the broad spectrum, like if we're not where we want to be that day, tomorrow will come. But what if we just went to, a class and had fun with the instructor and, trained a little bit like yesterday and walked away, and you can be like, reset my buttons.
Oh, it totally is. It totally is. Totally is a reset.
Yeah, always. We did cover a lot.
It's a big episode. And I don't know, we're switching up the recording schedule. We're trying to get more consistent as we get into wintertime. Yeah. Would love to get the bus out maybe one more time. Maybe when the colors pop.
For sure.
We can get out.
Yeah, let's get out there.
It's still warm.
What do you have coming up?
Let's see. What do I have coming up? Nothing. My birthday. Your birthday. Yeah, birthdays.
We get to celebrate our birthdays on the belt test.
Oh yeah.
Right. Yours is the 26th.
Yep.
Mine's the 27th.
Yep.
Belt test 28th.
Yeah.
Do you have the kids schedule at that time?
They're coming. I'm going to try to get them to come with me. I bet Cozy will come.
Oh, yeah. She's usually pretty good about coming to that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Ben it'll be questionable, especially if there's something going on
at the school.
Maybe a barbecue or I don't know. Like
Exactly.
I haven't heard anything, but like maybe if they correlate that with
He's a sophomore?
Ben is a sophomore. I know.
That's insane.
I know. Well, no, what's weird is that like him and Timmy are the same age, and they're just like, Timmy kicks my trash quite often.
It's like polar opposites.
Yeah, yeah. But Timmy just grew up on the mat. Like,
yeah, his whole life has been there.
It's like a wild monkey hopped up on Mountain Dew.
That dude caught me in an armbar the other day that was so beautiful.
Yeah.
And all I could do was like, man, beautiful.
I'm like,
and then I darsed the absolute fuck out of him. And it wasn't even nice. He was not stoked about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah, we have the belt test coming up at the end of the month.
Yep.
I don't think we have anything crazy besides just that. And
yeah.
Birthdays, yeah, our birthdays are so close. That's crazy that our birthdays are a day apart. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then
nothing.
I mean,
it's like
nothing.
we're getting into the fall.
Fall.
Yeah.
Summer went by fast.
It went by so fast, man. Doesn't even feel real. Doesn't even feel real.
It.
I know.
It goes by so fast.
I think too, like, I don't know, just not having. I mean, we work, right? Like you and I work. Yeah. We work. The kids have all this time off, and they expect to be entertained, and like I'm sure. I don't know. It just went by so fast. It's yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate the conversation. Yeah. It kind of grew legs on its own, and I always like that about like I love talking about jiu-jitsu.
Right.
And I think like for me, if you can find an academy, if you can there's a lot of people where it's just a transaction.
Yeah.
I pay you to teach me moves, you promote me, I get to my black belt, and then what's left?
Yep.
When you find that family organic place where you feel like you're a part of something growing and something bigger and you can help people. So the other day, me and Trent and Mark, the black belt Mark, the Navy SEAL, were training.
Yeah.
And so we are sponsored. We are big proponents of Jits Rings. You know, we have Jits Rings. Jits Rings is a company. Is just from our friend Mike Dearson. That it's you have the you can put the belt your belt on your ring finger. You can put it. It's just whatever ring you want.
It's a reminder. Yeah, it's just a reminder of the journey that you're on.
I have a white belt.
Yeah,
I have a white ring, and my idea behind that is to remind myself every day to be a white belt, to be inquisitive, to ask questions, to understand my role in life, to understand my role in every aspect of myself. And Trent said, "How come where's your brown belt?" And I was like, "I have a brown one as well, but I really want people to know that no matter what, like I'm in this journey for life.
Yeah,
and I want to be a white belt forever. I want to always learn. I want to always be around people that will always encourage me to do the right thing."
Yeah.
And during my turmoil at work, I was so close to, I was so upset.
Yeah.
And when I finally had the conversation with a couple people, the first thing I did with two of them was apologize.
Yeah.
I started our entire conversation off with an apology from me for my actions.
Right.
And I said, "I'm sorry for how I made you feel, for what I've done in this situation. I'm sorry." And I can assure you, it changed the entire tone, because the dudes that were there for my side and for other sides, they were like,
What?
And they were like, no, you don't have nothing to be apologized. And I was like, yes, I do. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have acted the way that I acted. It's not who I am as a man.
Right.
It's not who my character is. And a lot of that came from the fact that I thought to myself, what would young Danny do? Young Danny would fight.
Yep.
Young Danny would do stupid shit. Young Danny would be a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
What would I encourage my friends to do?
Yeah.
And I would encourage you to be like, "Hey man, start it off with grace. Start it off with gratefulness. Start it off with like to let everybody's guards down. How can you let everybody's guards down?" And I was like, "I apologize."
Yeah.
And dude, it changed the entire course of the meeting. It could have went ugly.
Oh.
And I could have made it go ugly. But that's why I wear That's why I think jiu-jitsu to me and my journey is to do this, to talk about it, to love about it, to like engage about it, to be excited about it. And I know you're excited about it, and you have your own branding to say white belt for life.
Yeah.
I think it's on your thigh.
It is.
Let's see it, Tyler.
Those on the podcast. I got the trashy.
No, I think it's awesome.
It is awesome.
White belt for life. We just remind ourselves, like, what would we encourage people to do if it was their first day of class or their first day of, or in their life? What would we encourage them to do? And to me, that's what jiu-jitsu has taught me. That's what my friends have taught me, is that your expectation of me is to live my life the way that I expect you to live your life. And I think that, in closing, that's, man, just always be grateful, always be gracious. If you're in an argument, if you're in a fight, think about how you could redirect the energy into something totally that would catch the person off guard.
Right.
And not expect it. And don't have any, like, I better do this and see some reaction.
So what you're saying is all the memes on the internet telling me that Libras are going into their villain stage it's not true.
Trust me, we're villains. And you don't have to be the superhero of everybody's story.
Right.
But you have to be the superhero of your story.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. And I think but there does come a time where you have to understand where to pick your battles. There are some battles where you don't need to back down.
Nope.
And there are some battles where, like, you're not going to win. And you may not want to back down, but maybe say your piece and then walk away. Right? You can have a toxic interaction and just walk away.
Sure.
And leave it at that. Leave it at whatever it is. But for the most part, if you can seek to understand rather than being understood, you will always win.
Sure.
And that's what a white belt does. A white belt is seeking to understand from somebody who may know more than them.
Yep.
And when you ask questions, when you get inquisitive, people's guard comes down, because it means you're showing interest, that you care.
You care.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a secret power.
It is a secret power. It's a superpower.
Superpower.
It really is.
Secret superpower.
Yeah. So, I mean, I encourage everybody, like I said, find that thing that will make you uncomfortable.
Do it.
And find that path that you can be proud of.
Yeah. And
I'm genuinely proud of, like, giving me, like, that couple of weeks of, like, I knew we needed to record. I knew we needed to, like, get going, but I just, man, my schedule was just, and my mind was just so out of it.
Yeah. No, and it's good too. Like, at the same time we were chasing the last bits of last drops, we had to squeeze the last drops of summer out, right? Like, we are going to get back into the snow, and we know how Danny deals with the snow.
The worst. But you know what we're about to hit is the best time in Utah.
The fall. Oh, dude. We got to get one spot out in get the fall colors for these folks to see on the YouTube.
Let's do it.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much, Danny. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you. You can come see us at Park City Jiu-Jitsu Sundays, open mat. Come hang out with us. Just if you're interested in jiu-jitsu, reach out to us. If you have questions, if we've pissed you off because of what we said about the CJI or the ADCC, let's have a chat. Let's dive deeper into it.
Yeah.
And we always appreciate it. I appreciate you, dude.
Yeah, appreciate you too, man. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
See you guys.
Rise up, don't turn it back.